Chapter 15, Section 3, looking at Northern Europe. Today we're going to look at the countries that make up Scandinavia, their history and their culture. After a long and warlike history, the modern countries of Scandinavia are models of peace and prosperity for the rest of Europe. Their cultures are similar in several ways, but each country has its own personality. The history. Hundreds of years ago, Scandinavia was home to warlike Vikings. The Vikings were Scandinavian warriors who raided Europe and the Mediterranean in the early Middle Ages. Excellent sailors, the Vikings used quick and powerful longboats to attack villages along coast or rivers. The Vikings conquered the British Isles, Finland, and parts of France, Germany, and Russia. They were some of the most feared warriors of their time. The Vikings were also great explorers. They established the first settlements in Iceland in the 1800s, and in Greenland in the 800s, and in Greenland in the 900s. A short time later, Vikings led by Leif Erikson became the first Europeans to reach North America. The ruins of a Viking colony have been found in present-day Newfoundland off the southeast coast of Canada. In the 1100s, the Viking raids ended. Powerful Scandinavian chiefs instead concentrated on strengthening their kingdoms. During the Middle Ages, three kingdoms, Norway, Sweden, and Denmark, competed for power in the region. Denmark was the first to gain the upper hand. By the late 1300s, Denmark ruled a union of all the Scandinavian kingdoms and territories. Eventually, Sweden challenged Denmark's power. In time, Sweden left the Danish-led union, taking Finland with it. Many years later, Sweden won control of Norway as well. By the 1900s, Scandinavian countries wanted their independence. Norway won its independence from Sweden in the early 1900s. Soon after, Finland became independent after centuries of foreign domination or control by Sweden and later by Russia. Iceland, then a Danish territory, declared its independence in 1944. To this day, however, Greenland remains a part of Denmark as a self-ruling territory. Scandinavia today. Today, the countries of Scandinavia have much in common. Similar political views, languages, and religion unite the region. The countries of Scandinavia have large, wealthy cities, strong economies, and well-educated workers. Scandinavians enjoy some of the world's highest standards of living. Each country provides its citizens with excellent social programs and services such as free healthcare. Sweden, Denmark, Greenland, Norway, Finland, and Iceland are among the world's most peaceful, stable, and prosperous nations. Sweden is Scandinavia's largest and most populous country. Most Swedes live in the southern part of the country in large towns and cities. In fact, more than 85% of Swedes live in urban areas. Stockholm, Sweden's capital and largest city, is located on the east coast near the Baltic Sea, often called a floating city. Stockholm is built on 14 islands and part of the mainland. For almost 200 years, Sweden has been a neutral country. Neutral means that it has chosen not to take sides in an international conflict. Sweden does, however, play an active role in the United Nations as well as the European Union. Denmark, once the most powerful country in Scandinavia, is also the smallest. It is Scandinavia's most densely populated country, with some 338 people per square mile, or 131 per square kilometer. About 50% of Denmark's land is good for farming. Farm goods, especially meat and dairy products, are important Danish exports. Denmark also has modern industries including iron, steel, textiles, and electronics industries. The island of Greenland is geographically part of North America. However, it is a territory of Denmark. A thick ice sheet covers about 80% of the island. Because of this, much of Greenland is uninhabitable or not able to support human settlement. Most people have adapted to living on the island's southwest coast where the climate is warmest. Recently, a movement for complete independence from Denmark has gained popularity. However, economic problems make independence unlikely, as Greenland relies heavily on imports and economic aid from Denmark. Norway, with one of the longest coastlines in the world, Norway has adapted to its access to the sea. Fjords shelter Norway's many harbors. Its fishing and shipping fleets are among the largest in the world. Oslo, Norway's capital, is the country's leading seaport, as well as its industrial center. Norway has other valuable resources as well. Oil and natural gas provide Norway with the highest per capita GDP in Scandinavia. However, North Sea oil fields are expected to run dry over the next century. Despite strong economic ties to the rest of Europe, Norway's citizens have refused to join the European Union. Finland is Scandinavia's easternmost country. It lies between Sweden and Russia. The capital and largest city is Helsinki, which is located on the southern coast. As with other countries in the region, trade is important to Finland. Paper and other forest products are major exports. Shipbuilding and electronics are also important industries in Finland. The Sami people are a unique culture group that lives in far northern Norway, Sweden, Finland, and parts of Russia. They are descendants of Scandinavia's earliest settlers. Traditionally, Sami have earned a living herding reindeer, farming, and fishing, while today's Sami often work and live in modern cities and towns. They try to preserve many traditional Sami culture traits. The Sami language is taught in public schools. Traditional reindeer grazing land is protected, and organizations promote Sami cultures or customs. Iceland is much greener than its name implies. Fertile farmland along the island's coast produces potatoes and vegetables and supports cattle and sheep. Icelanders also make good use of their other natural resources. Fish from the rich waters of the Atlantic Ocean account for about 70% of Iceland's exports. Icelanders have adapted to their physical environment by using steam from hot springs and geysers to produce geothermal energy. Geysers are springs that shoot hot water and steam into the air. Geothermal energy heats many of Iceland's buildings. Each year, thousands of tourists flock to see Iceland's many geysers, volcanoes, and glaciers. In summary, Scandinavia today is a region of relative peace and stability. A common history and culture link the people of the region. Today, Scandinavia is one of the wealthiest regions in Europe and in the world.